everyone doing today? So it's my second live stream of the day. We got a couple, we got to go over a lot. So wherever you are in the world, I say welcome. As you're tapping in, like this video, hit a thumbs up. Now, I just uploaded, it's actually premiering right now on YouTube, the upload prediction and analysis of Sugar Nunez versus Chris Diaz. So you'll see, watch that. That's in my playlist. That's under the fight prediction playlist. So if you guys are just watching my live streams on a daily basis, start watching my Stats Don't Lie videos. If you guys are OGs to the channel watching Stats Don't Lie videos, tap into the live stream. So I'm going to be able to go to live tomorrow morning early, super early, just because I have a long day. I have a crazy weekend, so I'm trying to get all this stuff out for you guys. I also, in our Discord, I just gave you my long parlay. I also shared on the YouTube channel and on my Instagram the 12-leg money line long parlay. Those are all money line picks. I'm also going to be giving the Johnny Says VIP members in the Discord, you're going to get my upset of the week parlay. You're going to get my method of victory parlay. We have NFL picks. We have college football picks. So I'm giving you all of that as well. I have a lot. I went heavy already on a bet. I'll share that with you guys. I really like, and this is a pick that I've been wrestling with all week on the live stream. I've been asking you guys your opinion on it. The odds are a bit insane, but you know what? I'm just going to roll the dice. I've already talked myself into this bet. It's just a prop bet. And I'm just pulling the odds up real quick. Just so I can let you guys know. Yeah, I got it. I got it at plus 530. So I hit, when Bruce Carrington fought last, he was a plus 600 to win by decision. I went heavy on him. I put a little bit of change on Shushu to win by decision. I gave you guys that pick. I think he was $1.80 to win by knockout. I went heavy on him to get the decision, and we hit. I did my logic similarly based on who Carrington was fighting and with this pick. So at plus 530, I've gone heavy on Osley Iglesias to win on points. So I got Iglesias by points or decision against Shishkin at plus 530. I also have on the long parlay, which you guys, have access to, Iglesias on the money line. But I gave you guys my breakdown on that fight. I talked about it all week. I've talked myself into it. I'm comfortable with it. I think Shishkin's a lot better than people think. I think Shishkin could easily be 17-0. I think Shishkin probably should have got the Canelo fight instead of William Skull, and I think that fight would have been much more entertaining. Not saying Shishkin would have won that fight, but the thing is, at 34 years old, when you look at Osley Iglesias' resume, doesn't have a lot on there, does he? He's the IBO champ at 168. Not a lot of people in the West give the IBO belt much relevance or credence, but we do know generally whoever holds the IBO belt gets a shot at the IBF. So we know the next week we have the undisputed title at 68 between Bud and Canelo. So you got to think whoever wins this Shishkin versus Iglesias fight positions themselves for a huge, huge fight. My point being, if you've never watched Shishkin fight, the dude could fight. He could box. And I think I'm hoping we see the best version of Shishkin. I'm hoping we see Vladimir being able to draw out Iglesias past the first 4 rounds. Iglesias, in my opinion, is going to be the most dangerous in terms of being able to get Shishkin out of there in the first quarter of the fight. So I've gone heavy on Iglesias by points or decision. That being said, which sounds contradictory to my approach, I've already have that bet in. I also like Iglesias by stoppage early. So if you don't see the fight going the distance, and you're also like me and you also see Iglesias beating Shishkin no matter what the outcome is, which I do, I actually like the pick of Iglesias stopping him early, which is crazy because I see if Iglesias does get him out of there, I see that power being a problem early. Shishkin has a front foot style. He's going to be there to get hit. Same thing with Iglesias. Both guys are going to want to be on the front foot. We know Iglesias' power. I'm not that sold on him yet. That's it. That's all I have to say about that. In terms of who he's fought, 168 has a bunch of exciting names. 168 has a bunch of exciting potential matchups. We're gonna know a lot about both of these guys. I don't think that Iglesias enjoys fighting in the pocket too much. I don't think that he's that comfortable there. Shishkin has a tendency to leave his head on the midline. Shishkin, I'm giving you guys pros and cons on both sides. But Shishkin's going to be a better boxer than a lot of you guys think. Shishkin's going to be faster than a lot of you guys think. Shishkin could fight at different ranges. He's going to be versatile. I think this is going to be by far Iglesias' toughest opponent. So, yeah, that's my take on that. If you're reading the Sugar Nunez, what I titled in this video. Now, Sugar Nunez on the money line, there's no value, guys. Sugar Nunez on the money line, it's like you put $100 to have him win, you're getting $3 back. I feel that line is so disrespectful to Christopher Diaz, Portufo. Christopher Diaz, proud Puerto Rican fighter, born in America, Puerto Rican roots. Diaz has a handful of losses. He's been in there with some great guys. He fought Shakur Stevenson when Shakur was 10-0. He's fought Dogbo. He got stopped against Navarrete. Diaz is one of those guys that every time he stepped up, things hasn't gone his way. The chips haven't fallen in a way he's kind of hoped that they would fall. But he's only 30 years old. Sugar Nunez is by far one of my favorite champions, just to let you guys know. I've been covering Sugar Nunez for the last, we'll say, 2 years. I guess you could call me an early adopter. Still to this day, I don't see a lot of mainstream YouTube content boxing creators who have big followings talking about Sugar Nunez, at least the English-speaking ones. Sugar Nunez is a goddamn nightmare at 130. Like, you watch him fight, you could watch one of the most exciting fights, ironically, is the only one he didn't win by knockout, was his last fight. Watch the Rikishi fight. The Rikishi fight was super exciting. I went really, really heavy on Sugar Nunez. He leaves Mexico, goes to Japan. We got great odds, and we won, but he got hit a lot. And that's what you have to expect with a Sugar Nunez. Front foot pressure, constantly in your face, constantly throwing bombs. He is susceptible to get hit with that uppercut. Rikishi was timing him nicely. Rikishi was getting off early, but you started to see that pressure really affecting Rikishi mid to late rounds, and that's where I had a lot of the early rounds could have gone either way, and up until that fight, Nunez had 100% knockout to win ratio. He has one loss on his record. That was back in 2018. You could do what you want with that loss. Since then, he's 97% knockout to win ratio. This guy is kind of like William Zepeda if Zepeda was a little bit more powerful. If you're not looking at their physical body type, because they're built two different ways. Obviously, Zepeda's, lean, skinny, dude. Nunez is a goddamn tank. Only 5'5", shorter guy. Diaz is only about 5'6". The reach kind of cancels each other out. Like I said, Diaz, if you look on paper who he's been in the ring with, Diaz has been in with, probably, the more well-known names. That's not controversial to say. The problem is the fact, like I just mentioned, the step up. Every time he step up, things haven't gone his way. So my whole point is why it's taken me almost 10 minutes to get to this point is the fact that if you go to your betting app right now, we'll do this together. Go to Sugar Nunez versus Diaz. The odds are horrible. 100 on Nunez, you get $4 back. We're not doing that bet, right? We're not doing that bet. But a bet I do like. Even Sugar by knockout, $1.13. I mean, it's almost... this shit is crazy. It's almost tempting me to take Sugar by decision. Because they're just totally Christopher Diaz should not be a 13-1 underdog. This is a guy who's going to be coming in with the Puerto Rican shorts in Mexico. Granted, the fight... it's in Sinaloa. It's in Sugar's hometown. It's Sugar's first chance to defend his belt. You act like Christopher Diaz is going to be up for this fight. We're going to see the best version of Christopher Diaz in this fight. So I'm almost tempted. Nunez at 775 to win by decision. That's way more tempting than Nunez by knockout, just based on the odds, right? They're taking those odds obviously by his knockout to win ratio, when you look at who Nunez was knocking out and starching on the way up, there's not a lot of guys you're going to recognize. That's my whole point. But his style is why I like him. I like the way he fights. I like the bravery he brings into the ring. I like his work ethic. I like his conditioning. I like the volume. I like his willingness to trade. Everything about Nunez, what I like, actually has nothing to do with the knockout to win ratio. I feel like I have to speak on that because sometimes these odds, the bookmakers, the algorithm on BoxRec, a lot of times their reasoning revolves only around that knockout to win ratio. So I think Diaz is going to be tougher. I think he's going to be tougher than people think. So, I might be a cowboy on the download, don't tell you guys, and sprinkle 100 on Nunez by decision and win $800, and then I'll post it in the Discord after and acting like I'm a brilliant wizard. But if I do that and it loses, I won't tell you about it. Anyway, the bet that I think I should tell you about, though, is the over. Everything that I said about Diaz when you watch my breakdown, like Diaz is good. He knows how to operate. So round betting. Here we go. Total rounds. Oh, over 6.5. This is also disrespectful. Maybe I'm giving Diaz too much credit. And maybe, do you guys think Rikishi would starch Diaz? You got to ask yourself that before you make this bet, because Rikishi took Nunez the distance and was landing some good shots. And, I was already high on Sugar in that fight, but I got to be honest with you. After the fight, I kind of left feeling better about Rikishi than I did going in, if that makes sense. I thought Sugar Nunez was going to knock Rikishi out. I thought that's what I was going to see. Didn't happen. Rikishi's timing was better than I thought it was going to be. Nunez got hit a little bit more than I thought he was going to get hit. So all of that aside, what have you done for me lately? Nunez was just in a really long fight. The over at 6.5 is $1.99. I think this fight goes over. Sugar, when you watch him, just stepping up, slowly stepping up, he's not starching dudes with one punch. He doesn't have that Fabio Wardley power, that Deontay Wilder power translating to 130. You know what I mean? And Diaz, his one time getting stopped, I think, was a late round stoppage against Navarrete. So I like on a method of victory, or maybe a prop, I like the fight to go over 6.5 at 199. I do. So you're telling me I put 100 on that, I get my money back plus almost another 100. It's almost 1-to-1. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to share with you. I'm gonna tap in. I didn't expect this live stream to be that busy. This is the smallest amount of people I've had in the live stream since the silent film era. Kyle in the house. PJ, what's going on? I'm gonna talk. Who else is tapping in? Martha Prince is in the house. Was somewhat surprised to see Segua opening as the favorite. Him versus Acosta will be a good rumble. You were surprised more? Yeah, so I took on that long parlay. I broke down Acosta. I broke down Segawa. I gave you my reasoning this morning on my first live stream why I like Segawa over Acosta. I could get into it real quick. And I got Segawa to $1.68. It's going to be a real close fight. The reason why I was leaning towards him versus Acosta, and I kind of touched base on this, both guys are going to have decent size for the division. Segawa's been stopped once. That was all the way back in 2020 against Jermaine Ortiz. His last two, he's 2-2. He's coming off that. Did you watch the Shushu fight? I think why these odds are where they are is because I actually had Segawa winning that Carrington fight. I mean, there were a lot of close rounds in that Shushu fight. I mean, I'm a big Bruce Carrington fan, but I watched that fight 2 times, and there's definitely an argument that you could have given that fight to Segawa. Brian Acosta, and then he beat Ruben Villa. Brian Acosta's 20-1, 8 knockouts. He's coming off a loss. He lost a 10-rounder to Ramon Cardenas. I mean, I rate Ramon Cardenas at, to a certain extent. His toughness, his grittiness, anytime you could drop Naoya Inoue, no matter the outcome, you're going to get another feature fight. Hard-nosed Texas kid. When I broke the Cardenas-Naoya Inoue fight tape down, I won money. I hit Cardenas at 16-1 on a prop, predicting he would drop anyway. So I know going into it, Cardenas is a dog. And, there's no shade with losing to Ramon Cardenas. That was a 10-round fight. This is a 10-round fight. Before that, he stopped Toala in the third, and then he was on a winning streak. He was undefeated. So a lot of people like Acosta in this. 27. I think it's going to be a close fight. The Ugandan southpaw, a little bit longer in the tooth. Yeah, it's the fight earlier today that I said, he should be on upset alert. I did say that, and I talked about this in the Discord. Just, I picked Sagawa on my long parlay, but, I'm not against. I'm the type of bettor that I'm not against on another parlay throwing Acosta on upset, and then there's one more I wanted to talk to you guys about. If you throw, because look at the long parlay. I did pick Sagawa on the money line, but that's just one ticket. I don't go heavy on a 12-legger paying 12-1. Nothing too heavy. I'm not betting thousands on that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe 100. I think I put $100 on that. $100 to win. I think 1,200. So nothing too serious. But if we put on a separate parlay, 2 upsets that I could see happening. Acosta 250. I didn't put Mick Conlon on my parlay because I don't like Jack Bateson's tape. I don't like the way he punches. I don't like his resume. I don't like who he's beaten. I don't like the loss. Obviously, when you watch Conlon's tape, you're not going to like him getting knocked out 3 times. You're not going to like where his career's trending. But, all that aside, he's 33, Bateson's 31, Conlon, former Olympian, former world champion. He took an 8-rounder. He won a decision more recently. He's been talking a lot about if he can't beat Bateson, he should retire. I agree with him. But he also has been talking, if he beats Bateson, he wants that Josh Warrington fight. And now, Conlon versus Warrington in the UK will be in a stadium. You're telling me if that's not enough to motivate Mick Conlon, a guy who is disciplined enough to become an Olympian, it's really tough for me to see Conlon dropping the ball here, losing to Bateson. But if you're looking for upsets, like I said, the odds with Bateson, I'm not telling you to do this. I'm just kind of going through the list. Bateson at 285, Acosta at 250. And then I think it's the Guevara fight. Pedro Guevara versus Adrian Curel. Guevara's the old head here. I talked about this fight. So, even on my long parlay, I took the dog. I took the favorite. I took Pedro Guevara. But, he's going to be on upset alert. Curiel could win this fight. So, like I said, you put Acosta and Curiel as a cheeky 2-leg, that's paying 6-1. I like those two. Even though you guys would be like, dude, I don't understand. Why'd you put the other guys on your long parlay? Because, it's a separate ticket. We're not defined. We're not defined by one ticket. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let me see what you're talking about here. Follow Mike TV. Yeah, it's live. Mike TV. Yeah, this is live, big homie. You probably didn't know because I wasn't talking to the stream. I'm talking to the stream now. Mar Giron gave Schofield a tough fight. Odds are sort of wide. Yeah, Renee. For sure. He's talking about the Renee Giron fight. There's some sneakily good fights this weekend. What are the odds on Renee? I'm not. Maybe I'm not getting him on this book. I have sports bet open. I have to get on. I'm gonna go to Bet365 in a second. I thought. Oh yeah, he's fighting Jordan White. You think so? I don't know, man. Follow Mike TV. Mar, is your book offering any action on Fridays? Yeah, Mar. Dwayne Styles in the house. They didn't have any moon pies at Buc-ee's, Johnny. Dwayne, you're upset me, man. Moon pies make the world go round. How about a Star Crunch? Can I get a Star Crunch out here? Guys, they don't have the Little Debbie snacks down here in Australia like I grew up with in America when I was a thickie. Dude, when I was a kid, boy, I was a thick boy. My go-tos as a kid growing up in Ohio, man, I used to think a regular lunch was like an oatmeal pie. I'd have the Little Debbie joints. I'd have an oatmeal cream pie. Don't sleep on the strawberry shortcake ones. Um, Obviously the moon pies. During Halloween, those pumpkin spice joints, the little, we don't get any of that stuff down here in Australia. Any thoughts on Cardoso, Acosta moving up in weight as well? Skeezy, what's up? Skeezy in the house. Hand history vault. I'm going with Acosta, but I haven't watched tape for the fight. Yeah, it's Acosta. He could win this fight, boys. But I'm leaning on Sagawa's dog. Like when you watch the tape on Acosta, he's gonna want his type of fight looks a bit differently than a Sulaiman Segawa fight. So I'm leaning on that sort of grittiness dog in the Ugandan southpaw. Dwayne, you can I don't expect you, Dwayne, to get anything from Buc-ee's and mail it to Australia. Damn, I will mail you one. Are you guys? You guys would mail me, dude. You guys are awesome. You guys are dope. Yeah, the rates are really expensive. He's live and in the future, technically. Yeah, boxing fan. I think Mike TV was saying that because for the first 5-10 minutes I was riffing because I was trying to get through my introduction. History Vault, what's your initial thoughts, Makhmudov versus Allen? Guys, this is an interesting fight, man. I'm going to get to these questions. Hand History Vault says, and you guys can pitch in on this too. He says, what's my initial thoughts on Makhmudov versus Dave Allen? Guys, I mean, history. Every time I bet against Dave Allen, I lose. I picked him in the one fight, and I lost, and then I picked against him in another fight, and I lost when he won. So, you know, he's super charismatic. He seems like a good guy. His social media channels are good. Makhmudov, this is a guy, you know, Allen must know something I don't know. Because everything, if you watch Allen's YouTube, and he put his hand up quick when he was offered that fight. What I've seen in Makhmudov's style, we've seen him fight. Like, if I'm Allen's handlers, I don't take that fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, so history, from a business perspective, I don't take that fight. Especially Allen, you know, beating Johnny Fisher globally isn't a big win. But domestically in the UK, that's a big win, man. They had a lot of people, a lot of eyes, you know, that rematch was viewed a lot. People, you know, I think it was the main fight that weekend in the UK in a you know, a fight-loving area of the world. So my point is, you know, is that the route I would have gone? No. Do I think he could beat Makhmudov? I do. Is it going to be a tough, gritty fight? Allen gets hit all the time? Yeah, I'd like to see the odds. If I were his handlers, I wouldn't have picked the fight. Skeezy, confident Guevara will win, 10 years older. Is it? Yeah. So Skeezy, I talked about this on my first live stream. I'm not confident Guevara is going to win. The 10 years age, there's a 10-year gap there as well. I took him, like I said, I took Guevara on my long parlay, but, you know, he's on upset alert. Dude, Adrian Curiel, he's on upset alert, 100%. Don't tempt me, Johnny. I'll send you something from the VA. Dude, send me some. Dave Allen scares me. I've lost money on him. Yeah. So, Brendan, Dave Allen, yeah, it's a tough one. There's certain guys, and there's certain guys we win on. There's certain guys we win props on. I'm sure you guys have your fighters that I've always picked this fighter to win a decision. I always pick this fighter to get a knockdown. I always pick against this fighter to get beaten by that sort of thing. Dave Allen, historically for me, for my pocketbook, hasn't been the best money for me. Ardo Ara, what's up, man? Haven't seen you in a while on the stream. Follow Mike TV. Yeah, Johnny, I agree with you on the Allen fight. I would have avoided that one. Yeah, Mike, it's like when you boys ask me, you know, Mike, you're a fighter. You know what training camps are like. You know what navigating not only a fight week is like, navigating a fight camp, and then navigating a career. These are all sort of really, especially where Allen is in his career, guys. Like, as a fighter, especially somebody who didn't have like a heralded backing, didn't have like a big sort of, you know, push to get them to the top. momentum is rare. You know what I mean? Like harnessing momentum as a fighter is really rare. So when you're able to do that, you kind of want to hold on to it. And so how do you hold on to it? Obviously, you have to keep on winning, but decision making. You have to be smart with your business. You have to be smart with, how you go about moving forward. And with the day with Allen taking that fight, mate, it's like, damn, you just grabbed that momentum. But then again, you got to tip your hat to the guy. He's a dog. He dodges no smoke. You know, this is the hurt business. So you got to do nothing but respect and admire the guy. I love the fact that, with his winnings, he talks about being able to, build a nice little home for his family. He's in the backyard. He's like a bloke's bloke. So yeah, it's a tough fight, but all fights are tough, right? Hand history of all. David said to Hearn, "I want Makhmudov." Hearn was surprised and said, "Really?" Yeah, I know it. Yeah, he put it. So what I'm saying is maybe Allen must see something that no one else sees. Tomorrow card, big upsets potential. Ardo, who we talking? Where the upsets at? So we got tomorrow card. I like Avery Duval. Avery Duval versus Cortez. I'm high on Duval. I like where his career is at. I don't like Cortez's resume. I don't like who Luis Campos Cortez has fought. I don't think Fendora will struggle with Crichton. People are really high on Jonathan Arobio. I think Arobio should be able to handle Monroy. Big favorite there. So you're thinking, if you're talking upsets, are you talking Sofian Kati? Are you thinking Kati could beat Gomont in Montreal? I don't know, man. I watched the tape. on Gomont versus Kati because a couple of the boys messaged me that Gomont, these odds were off. I don't see it. I'm comfortable with that pick. And then who else? You think Iglesias could... I think Iglesias versus Shishkin is going to be closer than people think, but I'm comfortable with Iglesias coming out on top. So follow Mike TV. Dave should have a fight with Hergovich. Yeah, it's a bigger name, but even Mike TV, even Hergovich he's a lot to deal with too, man. I would have stayed. Now, Mike, I see where you're at. Even with Hergovich, Mike, he's still going internationally. I guess my point was there's a lot of domestic heavyweights in the UK. You know what I mean? There's guys with good names there. One or two guys that, he could have brought one of the old heads out. I mean, how old's Allen now? 33, 34? He could have brought one of those old heads out and filled up a nice little stadium. But I mean, Hergovich, yeah, I think Hergovich gets slept on a bit. Hergovich is a nice skilled heavyweight. Sal's blog talk. What's good, Johnny? You see AB back in the gym. Super out of shape. Yep, Sal, I saw that. He was in, talking about Adrian Broner. He was in the sweatsuit, peeling off the sweatsuit. Yeah, Adrian Broner, he will always be a guy who frustrates me. He will always be a guy because I will always remember him when he was coming up through the amateurs. He's an Ohio guy, Cincinnati. I'm a Youngstown kid. And, everybody knew who Adrian Broner was, the skill set he would bring to the table as a young amateur, the charisma, everything. The kid was on TV as like a 12-year-old. He was built for this business. And to see how just things could turn so quickly if you're not rooted in ethics, if you're not rooted in morality, if you don't have the proper people around you who love you, things could turn quickly. This is the hurt business. And so he frustrates me because there's a part of me that will always cheer for Adrian Broner, but there's another part of me that you kind of just want to shake him and be like, dude, what the fuck? It's sort of like how much skill and you can't say he's a has-been. He's a 4-division world champion. Not many, and you could say how he went about his business. Did he beat 4 champions to take their belts to become champ? No, he didn't. But that's the modern day of boxing. But in the history books, it'll always say Adrian Broner, 4-division world champion. Arda Ara, there are a lot of French dudes. Those are French Canadians, Arda Ara. Arda, because you listen to me. I don't mess with French boxers. But this fight's in Montreal. Montreal, Canada, they speak French in Montreal. So I don't bunch in the French Canadians with the French fighters. French Canadians, man, think about TriStar, think about Faraz Zahabi, thinking about Georges St. Pierre. These are French Canadians. I don't put them in the same category as dudes from Paris or Nice. The producer, why is Brandon Adams plus 400 against a guy he is already finished? Brandon Adams, producer, you know, we're not that far off on that, on what you're saying there. It's gonna those odds come down to what have you done for me lately. Those odds come down to Boacek being the more active one, having the bigger fights. Obviously, Boacek's fight with Virgil, you know, was a fan friendly war. You know, people, you know, he beat Mendoza. That you know, but getting stopped against Adams, that was 4 years ago now. Adams really hasn't been the most active guy. I think the odds are wide. I think Boacek's fading. I think I talked about this in our Discord. If you go to our Discord, I've been talking about Serhi all week. You know, and it's no shade on Boacek. El Flaco, fun style, Ukrainian punch machine, but that style does not age well. And I feel that we're seeing signs of damage. I feel when you watch Boacek, I just shared the link in our Discord. Click the link. He just gave an interview. Shout out to Best Women's Sports Show. I think he sat down with them. It's about an 8-minute interview. His eyes don't look right to me. His sort of cognitive delivery doesn't look right to me. He looks a bit ticky to me. He doesn't look as durable to me. Watching him against Michael Fox, how he was wearing punches. Fox isn't a big guy. Came up from 47. You know, missed weight for that fight. When you talk about guys when they get older, what happens with our neurology, our central nervous system, basically our body's operating systems, how we burn energy, how we create energy. As we get older, you start seeing guys, you know, when you start seeing missing weight, that's either due to an injury or that's due to those sort of, you know, inner systems changing. And yeah, I think Brandon Adams hands down is a live dog. We'll see. You know, I still have a week to ponder that fight. We have a lot of fights in front of us, guys. The longer you're on my channel, you'll know I like keeping things right in front of us. We got fights tomorrow. Tomorrow's my Friday, so we got fights tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We also have UFC fights. We also have NFL games. We have college football games. All of these I'm giving you all my bets in the Discord. Next week, you know, it's been in the back of my mind for like a year, you know, even though we didn't have a date. So we're going to get to it. I'm definitely giving you my prediction on Boacek against Adams. You know, I think Brandon Adams is 100% a live dog. You know, he could punch. Decent little career. He's coming off a loss. You know, that Katsarakis loss. So when you're looking at odds, guys, they don't just these guys aren't watching film. It's not like the odds makers are, you know, the ghost of Cus D'Amato and the ghost of Burt Sugar, and these guys have seen all the fights and they know about when fighters are fading and they know about when, you know, a trajectory of a fighter. These people, the odds makers, are looking at statistics, algorithms. They're seeing, you know, what happened, how long this fight went, how many knockdowns did they ever get knocked down, how active are they, what's their resume like, that sort of thing. So it's become a bit of a science, but I agree with you. I think Adams is a live dog, 100%. Follow Mike TV. Adrian Broner is one of those people who inspired me to box. I used to come to my amateur fights with a wave brush. He's shit now. Yeah, I know. We went at it, Vargas. We didn't go at it. That's AB after the draw. AB to Paulie, though, still. AB beating Paulie and bragging about his chick taken, and then Paulie defending and reasoning with himself that it was just his side piece is classic boxing. Like, classic Broner and classic Paulie. You know what I'm saying? Like, Malignaggi, I don't, man, I'm gonna rewatch that fight. Malignaggi versus Broner. To think, you know, that both those guys, both personalities got to fight each other, and at the very end, they're bitching to each other about one of them taking their side piece. Broner's talking about, I not only beat him, but I took his girl. And Paulie's like, that's not my girl, that's my side piece. Like, come on, dude, this is classic. Skeezy, everyone should watch the live stream with 3D Boxing Muscles and Tommy from 5 days ago. Learn a shitload on the betting tactics. Yeah, man, that was a fun one. We're doing more, though, Skeezy. So that I have that live stream up on the channel. And so not this week, but I'm going to be going live with Tommy, 3D, and Muscles next week for the Bud Crawford card. Drop the link. Yeah, Mike, it was on the channel. It was on my, yeah, it was from my channel. Crichton with 10 good rounds versus Callum Simpson at 10-1, the upset tomorrow. Okay, so my man thinks, so going 10 rounds with Callum Simpson is going to equate to a 10-1 upset against Moreno Fendero. Let me see. How do you rate Callum Simpson? Fendero, 11-0, 9 knockouts. The Soldier. Not a lot of huge names. It's an 8-rounder. 8-rounder, 13-5. Just because a guy could give you good rounds doesn't mean he's, you know. If you ask me about Boris Crichton, you know, 13-5, been stopped twice. If anything, guys, you know, he already has another fight scheduled in a month. He seems like, you know, the Crichton to me seems like kind of like a booker. You know, when you're booking in fights, when you got other fights, and it's almost like he's trying to just get paid. You know, you have like professional bookers. You know, I don't want to call him a jobber, but like, or a clubber, but a booker's a guy, you know, getting paychecks. I don't know. Yeah. He has his first 10-rounder. He got stopped against Craig Richards. So you're saying a good 10 rounds. A good 10 rounds, he lost every round, mate. He lost every round. Callum had 10 fights at the time? What's Callum now? 18-0 with 13 knockouts. He was 10-0 at the time. I don't know, man. If that's your reasoning, worth a sprinkle, right? I don't like the reasoning, though. Breaking Bad, we got to get alive sometime, Johnny. We'll have to chop it up with you. Yeah, 100%, mate. Breaking Bad, you let me know when you're ready to dance. Let's go. You're invited on the channel whenever you want. The producer, Imamov, is a solid pick. I don't know, man. I like Bahayo. I like Bahayo to beat Imamov. I got to be honest with you. There's 2 fights on that upcoming UFC card that I like. Bahayo is one of them. Fendero, is he any good? He's decent. He's decent. He's very pressure forward. Fendero watches. I did like 30 minutes on him, by the way. I didn't do anything more. You know, not a lot of tape. 30 minutes, enough to see what the style is going to look like, Ara to Ara. And I think those odds are fair for a reason. You have one guy who's kind of on this trajectory. They're trying to feature him a little bit in Fendero. And you have another guy who kind of knows how to lose. You know, and that's not a knock on your boy. But when you're 12-5 and you're booking fights ahead in advance, you know how to lose a bit. It kind of tells you a little bit about the trajectory of the career. Malignaggi got robbed by the judges and Broner took his girl. Never heard of him. Who is Fendero? Breaking Bad Boxing, what fights you betting on tomorrow? Breaking Bad, PJ, come to the Discord, mate. He's in there. Go see the fight. He was competitive. Fendero, never heard of this guy. Breaking Bad. Love Jordan White tomorrow. Lena Bryan, Acosta. Yeah, I like Acosta's Sagawa, 2 negative in my eyes, and Acosta pressure. Yeah, so I like, even though on my money line I'm taking Sagawa, Acosta, he's on upset alert for sure. Yeah, I think, you know, there's 2 fights that I put on my long parlay that could go either way. I could see, you know, Acosta definitely has a chance against Sagawa. It's a 50-50 fight. I took Sagawa on one parlay. And then the other one is, we already talked about it, Adrian Curiel. Curiel versus Guevara, even though I took Guevara. You know, I think Guevara, you know, I think he got stopped against Bam, but, you know, 240. Yeah, so I know some of you guys in the Discord were kind of questioning why I took Sagawa and Guevara. But like I said, they could go either way. They could go. Thanks, Breaking Bad. Appreciate you. Got to keep it clean. All right, guys. So we're about 40 minutes in. It's 1:40. I'll stay on for a little bit longer. You guys want to talk about the UFC real quick, or even college football? I got a long. Did I put my parlay in yet for college football? No. I did take a method of victory. I did take a method of victory tomorrow. I told you Iglesias. I started this live stream. If you're just catching it right now, everybody. You know, I think the odds are too wide on the money line. I think Shishkin should be a little bit closer. I don't think he's a 6-1 dog. You know, I guarantee, back to that algorithm I talked about with whoever makes these odds up, if Shishkin, if the the judges' scorecards could have easily Shishkin, you know, should have beat Skull. Let's say he beats Skull in a different dimension or in a different reality. Shishkin's 17-0, right? And let's say Shishkin doesn't get the Canelo fight, just so for the sake of Shishkin versus Iglesias, he's undefeated. If Shishkin's 17-0 right now, not 16-1, I think the odds would have been more close, a little bit closer, right? For how exciting Osley looks, think about how exciting Yenis Diaz looked. My point is, think about resumes have to matter. Who jumps off of the paper? What is Osley Iglesias' best win? I'm not saying Shishkin's going to beat him. I've gone heavy on Iglesias to win by decision. So I'm reasoning with myself. I'm proving myself right. So my bet's already in. So obviously I'm taking Iglesias. I got him on one parlay, but I got him at plus 580 on the to win a decision. I did this, you know what? And I'm pattern recognition. I did the same thing with Bruce Carrington in his last fight. All you boys said Shushu's going to win by knockout. I go, Shushu plus 600 by decision. Boom, we hit. So I'm trying to hit lightning in a bottle twice. I actually feel more comfortable with the Shishkin decision than I did the Carrington decision. So we'll see what happens. It's all fun. It's all fun. Gomont is untested. Nathan Heaney. Why is everybody so confident in Rufy? Producer, I think people are so confident in Ruffy is because the fighting nerds, the camp. I mean, what does he have now? I think he's, 7 losses? He doesn't have a crystal clean. Or no, his boy who just fought. Who just starched old mate, had 7 losses on the Brazilian regional scene. But let's see what odds are we getting. Benoit Saint Denis, probably because when you look at Saint Denis' style, dude, Benoit Saint Denis fights flat-footed, doesn't move his head. He fights like a guy who thinks he could bully everybody. He doesn't fight smart. Probably one of the lowest IQ of any fighters in the UFC. If you could see his lack of professional experience. Benoit Saint Denis has only been a pro for a few years, only picked MMA up a few years ago. This guy is a special ops guy in the French military, so we know he's tough as nails. But like I'm saying, you can't be the era of being a tough dude and winning fights on toughness. That's long gone, dude. That's long gone. So Mauricio Rufy, $1.50 on the money line. Yeah, I love Bahayo at $1.74, man. I think he's gonna. I'm not sold on Imamov, man. I actually don't like Nasruddin Imamov's game. I don't like sort of like his posture or the optics he fights with. I guess the best way of me putting that is the optics Nasruddin Imamov fights with, how he presents his style and how he operates. Smart fighter, talented fighter, ticks all the boxes. People really high on him, world level guy. But when you ask me the same thing about his opponent, Kyle Bahayo, and then if all those boxes are being ticked, I'm going to give the advantage to Bahayo based on explosivity, based on energy, based on where his career is kind of, where it's going, where it's trending. I'd like to see, in a weird way, I'd like to see Bahayo a little bit more, I don't want to say mean, but sometimes, or a little bit more, it's sometimes when I watch Bahayo operate his game plan, I don't want to say he ever second guesses his game plan, but it almost like he kind of has these mental lapses or these lulls in what he's trying to do, and then he'll switch back on, and then he gets back into it. He's for the most part, he's been absolutely dominant. I like what I've seen. Upset alert. Come on, dude. Paul Craig, the Bear Jew, fighting the Lithuanian Modestas Bukauskas. We know about that nasty leg injury, Bukauskas. Do you remember? Khalil Roundtree. Oh, my God, dude. Khalil Roundtree is brutal. Khalil Roundtree is a dude, like, on paper, he tries to act like he's this, like, spiritual, rubbing stones together, meditative dude. But no, dude, Khalil Roundtree was an obese, overweight, fat kid nerd when he was a kid. He'll tell you this. Who lost a bunch of weight, who became a goddamn alpha savage murderous striker. So he may act like he's this cool, calm, collected sort of, but that dude is mean, dude. That kick against I'm surprised Bukauskas even came back from that. And we know I think he got cut. He went back, I think, to Cage Warriors. Then he comes back, and Paul Craig. We know what he's going to want to do. We're going to see if he's going to be able to handle the striking though. Bukauskas long, younger. Craig's going to want to pull guard, bring him to the ground, find a sneaky submission. We've seen Craig do this time and time again, though, go in as an underdog and upset the odds. That might be my upset of the week in boxing and MMA. Is probably taking Craig over Bukauskas, but I'll let you guys know that for sure tomorrow. My boy Skeletor's fighting Reese McKee. Reese McKee's fighting. I like that fight. Nice little odds. I have to do a little bit more study on Axel Sola. I don't know much about him. Some French fighters. Umar C's on the card. I never mess with Marcin Tybura. Every time I bet against Marcin Tybura, I get burned for it. So yeah, right now I'm probably Mason Jones is back. I like Mason Jones. He kind of got rushed. I think the Welsh kid, came early, got cut early. I think he chose to. Maybe Mason Jones was the kid who went 2-1. Didn't he go life and death with who was the kid who used to fight out of James Krause's camp? When before Krause got done for gambling, really really exciting fighter. He went life and death with him, and then I think he left the UFC and he came back. But anyway, there's some good fights to talk about. Henry Williams, what's up, Johnny? You think Iglesias is a lock tomorrow versus Shishkin? Look, mate, I don't know if I believe in locks. I don't think at this when you watch enough fights, there's no such thing as locks. Do I have Iglesias on my money line parlay? Yes. Do I have a separate pick with Iglesias beating Shishkin by decision? I do. I think Shishkin's going to be a lot better than a lot of people think. I think the odds are misconstrued there. I think Shishkin, probably fought the tougher competition. I'm hesitant on, jumping on the bandwagon of sort of guys, no offense to the Cubans, but from that neck of the woods who, have under, we'll say, 20 pro fights, who have fought a lot of guys that we've never heard of. So, yeah. Arda Kati by knockout. Mate, you are smoking weed, boy. You are smoking on hay. Hey, in the middle of the barn. Alexander Gomont will win a decision. He'll decision him. Here's 13-09 knockouts. Why did I pick him? There's a reason when I watched the tape. Yeah, this fight's at 54, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, no, he doesn't even have it up on his Gomont. But yeah, you're picking all the dogs. Ara's picking all the dogs, baby. I like it. I like your style. What is Ardo? What is your parlay paying if you're taking all the dogs? It has to be like 300 to 1. Because if you throw, because you already told me you like Crichton at 10 to 1. You like Cotty by knockout? That has to pay 9 to 1? You said one more. So just put those two on on your ticket. I'm not big text. When will you do anyway, MJ? Fight week, big text. Fight week. That's coming up. Dude, that's awesome you're going to the fights in Montreal, mate. That's amazing. Montreal's a nice little town. And it's the weather there right now. It's still pretty nice, right? That's cool, man. Are you Canadian? I didn't know that. Henry Williams, thanks. I think Shishkin coming for a win. I think he is too, man. I think he is too. Shishkin is coming for a win. Shishkin can fight, man. Shishkin, I thought he beat William Skull. Any pick on Conlon Bateson. I left Conlon Bateson off of my long parlay. I did the tape on both guys. Man, I do not like the way Bateson punches. He hasn't fought anybody. He's 31 years old. One loss. I think he's beaten 7 or 8 guys with winning records out of his 20 wins. People were, Conlon, yes, 3 losses, 3 knockout losses. And then I could counter that, though, with, he's only 33. Former Olympian, former world champion. He's coming off a win, won a little sneaky 8-rounder. I mean, he looks in great shape. If you've been watching Fight Week, he wants that Josh Warrington fight, which they could sell out a stadium for in the UK. You're telling me that's not enough motivation? We'll just see about the derby. Dude, Bateson isn't a big puncher, can't really crack. Man, there's nothing I see in Bateson that he could beat Conlon. But then again, man, I didn't expect Josh Taylor to lose recently. I definitely didn't expect Yenis Tellez to lose recently. This last year in boxing has been great for the underdogs. So, it could happen. I just watched my boy Joe Stunner boxing. He was kind of flip-flopping on I think he's just kind of like dropping sort of, some, what do they say? If you throw something against the wall, something will stick. By taking Bateson. I'm not taking Bateson. I don't see Bateson beating Conlon. There will be at least one upset tomorrow. My 2 picks for tomorrow are Katie by knockout Glacius. Nice. Nice. Ardo, what's your name in our Discord, mate? Because you guys are insane, by the way, and that's a compliment. You boys are in the Discord and you have different names. How are we supposed to know who each other is? Ardo, Shishkin will do good, but with that small ring, he'll have no answer to his power. So, are you Alex in the Discord? The dude causing controversy all the time? Okay. Dude, good luck, man. How much were tickets to go to the event? Guys, I got to wrap this up. I got to get going. It's late. You guys got to go to bed. I appreciate you. Watch the newest upload. Stats don't lie. Sugar Nunez versus Christopher Diaz. Watch my breakdown of Iglesias versus Shishkin. If you're going to the fights tomorrow in Montreal, if you got money on the fights, good luck. This is all love. I appreciate the support. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Early live stream tomorrow.